Hello, and welcome to the Libri Labra Book Club. I am joined today with my husband, John, aka BookTube Hubby, and Book Club VIP member, Tom. And before we jump into our discussion, just want to let everyone know that if you ever want to be part of our discussion on screen, you can do that by becoming a Book Club VIP member at patreon.com/Libri Labra. And there are a few different perks that you can get. You can suggest books for me to read and review. You get priority responses in my YouTube comments. You get a custom bookmark. There are a few different things. You also get to join a Facebook chat that's just us, where we kind of talk about the things that we're watching and we're reading. So if you're interested at all, even if you're not ready to sign up as a patron, you can definitely follow at patreon.com/Libri Labra. For the month of September, we ended up reading Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. And this was something that you had
suggested.
Well, actually, you know what?
I think everybody ended up, hey.
Yeah, at one point, I think maybe all of us had.
Susan Litsy there for a while, yeah.
So yeah, it was nominated quite a few times, but this for September it finally won. I'm gonna kind of go around. We can discuss our initial thoughts, but just know that after we've discussed our initial thoughts, we will jump into spoiler territory. So if you haven't already read Project Hail Mary, definitely check it out and then come back and watch.
Hey, just hit the pause button. Go do that and come back. Just got the whole day. Yeah, it's all at once.
So, since we did all put it in, it is a relatively new release, but what made you want to read it? Like, why was it appealing to you?
Andy Weir did write The Martian, right?
Yes.
Because that's why everybody has The Martian in mind when they read this book. So, I didn't want to go into that like that. I did not read The Martian, and I was very curious of his writing style, and I liked the idea of a Project Hail Mary. I liked the title, and I read zero about the book, so I chose it.
Okay.
No, it had showed up in our list a couple times, and I really wanted to read it. I have voted for it multiple times. So
you did vote for it multiple times.
So not at the same time. That's illegal. But I don't know. I like sci-fi, so it was an easy pick.
Okay, how about you, Tom? Like, what were your initial thoughts?
Well,
it
was like, and not that he does this, I can't say why without getting into spoiler territory. It's similar to The Martian, but it's not. So,
I feel like I read The Martian.
You kind of did. So, but in all of his books, the character, in The Martian, Artemis, and Project Hail Mary, his protagonists are pretty much a lot alike in the sense that they have certain traits which they share, which we can get to in the other part of the discussion.
So yeah, as I was saying, I have not read The Martian. I did read Artemis. And at the beginning of this book, I was kind of like, I wasn't really feeling it. And what I had said to John, which again, kind of doesn't make any sense being that I haven't read The Martian. I've only read Artemis, but I said that I felt like it didn't have the same gravitas as the other two. Like if it didn't feel quite as serious as the other two stories. And I don't know if that was my own disbelief in certain things that contributed to that, which it probably is. But some of it felt like it just kind of had, not that there wasn't high stakes in here, because there definitely was, but it just felt like there was this underlying kind of comical aspect to it, at least while I was reading it. That's how I kind of felt about it. It did change at some point. At some point I got much more invested in the story, and I was like, all right, we're here. Like, I'm ready for this. But before, in the beginning, I was just doing a lot of eye rolling, and there was so much explanation, and I get that it's a sci-fi, but for me, a lot of it was just going over my head. But I think eventually he did the conversions, and he established what certain things mean as he's creating names for certain things. And once I found my place in the world, then I was like, okay. And I was able to better take it in the story.
There's a lot to discuss right there. And I'm really happy to discuss it.
All right, so I guess we will jump into spoilers. What?
Right away. It's just gonna be right. All right. Spoilers it is. The one thing I wasn't sure why you were bringing up Artemis so much, because I didn't realize that he also wrote that. So I just made that like I didn't realize that apparently I've read that too.
Yes, you have.
But and I have the exact opposite outlook on these books as you do apparently. I feel like this one had more oh shit, like the more oh shit moments than I feel like I don't remember much about Artemis.
I mean, it was a while ago that we read it, but that was more like a heist, right?
I felt like Artemis was more like a middle grade, like young adult type read.
No, I think you really don't remember.
I don't. Yeah.
Wow.
Like that.
But I mean, like I'm saying, like I felt like it was more about the story than it was about saving humanity. Like there was more to it than it needed.
I mean, there was a female protagonist in Artemis, so I don't know if like how that changed your.
I think I'm gonna go back and reread it because I will I'd like to see the comparisons, the contrast. Actually, that's what I want. But what I can tell of The Martian and the difference between that and this book was, well, first of all, the idea behind First Contact, and then two, the character growth is framed differently because you're not meant to understand what's going on at the beginning of the book because you're following the character who's trying to figure out the same shit. So that's the reason why I feel like you weren't as connected as you should have been, because you're an empath and you were reading what the character was going through. The character was probably just as confused as you were.
I mean, he definitely was. He didn't even know
so
his name.
That's what I'm saying. Like until you found his place in the world, you didn't have a grasp.
Okay.
So I don't know. That's what I thought of. But the ideas and concepts that are played out in this book, I think, was more of the focus than the characters or the story itself. Like the idea of us actually making it to another solar system, the idea of us, or the us taking that trip and the science behind it. He had to go into a coma state instead of a cryogenic one. So he was actually flipped and rotated by a machine, and he was taken care of by a machine during his flight. So that's I don't know. I haven't read anything like that. Have you, Tom?
Nothing comes to mind, except for maybe Cixin Liu's trilogy.
Okay.
Yeah, as I started reading it, I was like, this is reminding me of bits of the three-body problem.
And then she said, oh, now I'm getting hints of the Themis files. And I'm like,
what?
Yeah, I mean, I get, yeah, it works.
And not to
but she called it out before she even read any of that.
Not to say that, the story is copied in any way. But
It's
just like, minor similarities.
Sorry, that was bugging me. But I went on a few tangents there, but there's a lot to grasp. So the idea that they just had to fling him out into space with no recollection, with amnesia, like they're like we have to like onset amnesia in order to do that, in order for him to not go mad halfway there. What do you guys think about that? Was that an accurate way of handling that, or do you think we should have stuck with the cryogenic freezing that everybody else does?
But I mean, they all didn't make it. So like that would have been pointless.
Was a testament of its fallibility.
And
then
that wouldn't have been helpful if like they send all these scientists and they all
died.
Yeah. Like
there was a chance of that happening. Like that's why. What's the name of the book?
Project Hail Mary.
What's a Hail Mary?
Oh, like a prayer.
A last ditch effort.
Yes. But I I get that like scientists and maybe doctors and like some other fields are like just willing to put their lives on the line to save humanity. I can't imagine being described the job and just being like, you're not going to make it back. But
good luck.
Yeah, pretty much. And I'm like, okay. So that's kind of intense. But I also think him meeting Rocky, especially in the beginning, that I like imagine just meeting another life form and you can't communicate. So like that's intense. I feel like you don't know if the person's being threatening or like
first contact is always a scary thing for us. That's why we talk about it so much. Or that's why we write or dream or make movies about it so much.
But what go ahead, Tom.
No, I was just gonna say that, in those cases, like they did in the book, it's, well, we do have a common language. Science is a common language, or it should be, because scientific laws should work the same across the universe, So, like pi should still be 3.14, whatever the digits we happen to express it in.
Right.
So
math is math.
Math is math. Yeah. So once we learn what the symbols for those things are, then we can branch out our vocabulary and such. So
I really liked his ideas and how they were expressed, the different outlook on physiology between species, the different outlook on how our technologies could change from species to species depending on atmospheric situations, or just or their commonalities even.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I feel like we talk so much about first contact and how whether or not we're going to be threatening, when we don't ever actually think about the good, or the common side that we can find. I feel like we're always talking about attack. It sucks. But I was happy to find that this was a friendly, I really love Rocky's childlike demeanor about things.
Mm-hmm.
He's always willing to learn about things. He was just like, oh, show me.
Well, I mean, outside of just people who love to learn, I just feel like that seems like a acceptable engineer.
Well, yeah,
like they have to be tinkerers. I would say, to be like, how does this work? To want to be building things and fixing things and all that other stuff. So I think that came through really well in his personality.
I really like how they handled it, the language barrier in the audiobook as well. Did you listen to the audiobook, Tom?
Yes, I did.
I'm happy I'm an auditory learner, because if we had to read that, we probably wouldn't have experienced that.
No, because you just were seeing music notes.
And I wouldn't have had any idea of what it meant. In the
text, there was just like lots of music notes whenever he was speaking. Cool. And you didn't hear the tones or anything. That's
cool. I really do like that. And when you mentioned that, I'm getting Themis File vibes, that's the only thing I can think of. Well, he ends up living with the aliens, and yeah, there it is. You're right. You got there before I did.
But as like Grace and Rocky started getting closer, it was starting to feel uncomfortable, because I was like, I don't know where this story's going. I don't know what's going to happen. But if one of them betrays the other, I'm going to be so upset. So like, I didn't want that to happen. And I was going to call John up and say that to him. But I know that when he finished it, he was like, that was cute. And he was like, you'll like it. And I was like, okay. And I didn't really know what that means. And I was like, I don't think he would have said that to me if they had betrayed each other. So
what if he did that?
You don't know me.
But honestly, for all that, it feels like it's like a treatment for a Hollywood script.
That's exactly what I said. I was like, this was all right, but this would make a great movie.
Mm-hmm. So,
I had a
Really
hard
is.
time picturing what Rocky looked like, though. I mean, I felt like I could sort of visualize how him
Oh,
eating was described,
have my
which was
phone.
kind of very...
I wanted to show you a Pokemon that would very, very much describe it.
Which one? What's the name of the Pokemon?
Baldor. Baldore or Gigalith.
I'm gonna look it up really quick. And why is your cat being annoying?
Baldore.
Ore.
Oh,
What's
Pokemon.
that?
Put Pokemon in there.
I just figured spider would be close enough.
Really?
A rock spider.
Oh, a spider. I mean,
Yeah, that's a Gigalith. That's a Baldor. That's what I was imagining when
like
Wow.
eyelids attached to a body, and yeah.
Because that's totally not.
because he
what I
said
was imagining.
5 limbs. So
I mean, my brain does weird things, and I don't think it was even processing the description. It just made up what it looked like, and I think not that it necessarily looked like, but it was kind of what I was imagining. I was kind of imagining like the is it the Prophet from Halo?
okay,
What
one of
do they call
the guys in the chairs.
No, not the
No,
guys in the chairs.
that's
the
the
other
Prophet.
dude, the dude with the sword.
The Shingheili,
Yes.
the elites.
Yes.
Okay,
That's what I was imagining.
but covered in rock.
I guess the rock was armor in my head.
I mean, it kind of is, but,
So like that's kind of what I was imagining. sort
but
of.
no, because when they described like him like when that something had happened to him and then he had to like blow like the what he thought was like the stuff that had stuck in Rocky, like Rocky got in trouble, like something happened to him and he came into his atmosphere and Rocky caught fire because of the pressure system and you know he came in and tried to save him and then like was very, very injured in the process, and Grace had to go through the he was freaking out trying to save him, and he blew off what he thought was black tar that was building up in Rocky's carapace. Like he thought that stuff was like suffocating him, but it was basically his system scabbing up. So he almost killed him trying to save him, but there was this the idea that when they described that scene right there, I had the idea like that's where the Baldor thing came. The idea of the Gigalith or the Baldor was because he had to clean him out and whatever, and he was still on like his whatever. Apparently he has vents on his backs to release the heat, and that's what he was cleaning out. I don't know. The first idea I had was Geodude just with arms, just like a rock with arms. That's it. But when they described his physiology a little more, it was a little more detailed.
So now, you've both said that it, makes a good script or make a good movie, like a live action movie or like a cartoonish movie.
It could do
like
both.
An animated movie.
I mean, it's going to be animated anyway. Like, it doesn't matter if it's live action. It's just going to be one dude in a pod. Like, the majority of it's going to be CG, especially with the alien, unless they alien the alien. Yeah, we do have the effects to actually make a little dude run around in a ball.
Mm-hmm.
But considering how much is into that, I could see it being all CG too.
What are your thoughts about things that Rocky was referring to as culture? Like them watching each other sleep, or
okay. Do you know the reason behind that?
I would think it's like a safety reason.
Mm-hmm. They're most vulnerable because they're basically dead while they're laying there. They couldn't have been woken up, right? Is that what it was? Is that their bodies don't do anything until they fully recharge?
Yeah, Yeah, they essentially shut down.
So they have to have somebody else watch them to make sure they stay safe. Like it has to be a part of the culture, or they don't exist.
But like I get that, like, let's look at this from a human perspective. I get that some people work the night shifts, some people work day shifts, but for the most part, like, I feel like the majority of us sleep around the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So
we have schedules. Well, if you didn't during the book, if you pay attention to what's a lot of the stuff, Grace actually talks about their sleep schedules and how often and they talk about, oh, I haven't slept for 32 hours, and Rocky's like, you haven't slept, sleep, slept, I watch, sleep. So then Rocky's really actually, you haven't slept for that long, I know you need to sleep, do it. Rocky just has this, I don't know how long they can go, what our hours are, however long they can. It was a lot longer than Grace's sleep period. So Rocky was like maybe once a week. Maybe. Is that accurate?
Okay, well, I mean, I guess if you live somewhere and people sleep on
all
different
it's really
days,
necessary to know is that they're on different cycles.
Okay.
Yeah, they are very different
because of their different, the way, like how the different the Iridians orbit differed from Earth's, and how long it took around to get around their sun.
Yeah, their time cycles are even their clocks were different. They run
their
in a
age
different
and
sequence.
everything else.
Yeah.
Because they were base 6 because they had 5 appendages.
That's crazy.
But
so we got base 10. I mean, that's
right.
an idea.
That's how we found it. 1, 2, 3.
I guess, considering how we treat eating, and that for so many of us, it's like such a social thing, like eating around the dinner table with the family, having conversation, going out to eat.
And they're like, no, it's gross. Get away.
Yeah.
I must my privacy.
But I guess I appreciated that he was like, you don't want to see that, like, but that, Grace kept saying, but it's for science. It's for science. Like, I need to know. It was like, you must.
That maybe just the once, but I still
that's going to be so fun to do in the movie. It's just to have him to be like, no, but I really want, I want to, oh God. It's just to have him to,
yeah, but then Grace started asking questions. And Rocky was like, I think he like literally said, social awkwardness, no talking.
Yeah.
But one thing I noticed in the book, they one of their big rules was that if that's the way your culture does things, then we will preserve that here. Yeah, no questions asked. And they never had a situation where their cultures clashed, which was good. But I would have liked to have seen that.
Yeah, right. Or how they handled that, how they would have.
Yeah, that's in the next book.
Yeah. Entitled Kaboom. No.
Yeah, that would have been difficult, but I'm glad. I don't know. Like, it was like, they were developing like a bro relationship. I didn't want to see bad things happen.
Hey man, they had 2 epic fist bumps. That's all that matters.
And then there was some point when he was talking about like how he could identify when Rocky was joking. And I was just kind of like, well, how could you? Like,
inflection.
Okay, but I feel like you still have to have something to compare that to.
He still took him a long time to figure it out when he was.
Really
but there was a couple instances where he was like, wait, is he joking?
Because I can't imagine like just meeting someone, just learning their language, and then if they say something sarcastic, having to be like, what? Like did they mean that?
Right? Yeah.
Like, how often do we jokingly say, oh my God, if you do that, I would kill you? Or like, just like weird,
I would just die.
Yeah, weird things like that
our metaphors and colloquialisms, is that what that's called? Mm-hmm. The idea there's some things that we say that we really don't mean, but they have multiple meanings behind them.
Right.
Just because of inflection.
And what
do you want?
I help.
Come on.
She's being.
I'm gonna take you out of the room, and you're gonna be meowing the whole day. Come on.
I had. Here. I actually, I have to do a weekly lecture for work, and the other day she was being
Say hi.
a pain, and she decided
Nope,
to stay
can't go that
right
way.
in front of the door, meowing the entire time. And I was like, if I keep talking, maybe no one will hear her. And towards the end of the lecture, like one of the students was just like, "Is there a cat meowing? Does anybody hear that? Am I going crazy?" And
I'll be
was
right
like,
back.
Oh,
I can't leave with this on though. Sneaky cat. I'm sorry.
But the book was so paced that, it's like, okay, when you get to at least when I got to a certain point in the book, it's okay, they're due for one major disaster, and then we end the book. And of course, there it is. The Tamiba get into the fuel supply. But I realized that also provided a redemptive moment for him as well. It's like he can make a decision. Well, he can go back to Earth and be a hero, and doom Eridani and Rocky to their fates, or go and save him and then save their planet. So I was just talking about the plotting of the book in the sense that it seemed pretty predictable. It's like, okay, they're due for one major disaster before the book ends, and then here it is. So
no, it was definitely templated.
Yeah,
but I kind of understood that it was going to be a lot like The Martian going into it, and I don't know why I had that feeling. It was an assumption. But going into it with that, I was just I didn't want to judge it too hard because of that. I knew there was more to, because there was different ideas thrown in here, like scientifically, that I haven't seen in other books, and I like that.
Any specific ones that you're referring to?
Well, like I said, the idea of using sleep instead of freezing for traveling such a distance, or the contrast on the aliens. Each author has a different idea of what our first contact is going to be like. So it's different with each one. Some of them are a lot similar in certain ways, but I just feel like that he had the idea of us meeting another species during a time of crisis, which both of us are in the same crisis. So it gave us a line to be on, versus are we at each other's throats, right? Is one of us going to be hostile to the other? So that alone was a different way to look at things.
I mean, I think also, not that I've read a ton of First Contact stuff, but I feel like I've watched probably a lot of movies. That
give me a second.
Yeah, she's
beating on the door
now. That the idea that that we were more advanced than they were, I thought was interesting, because I feel like in the majority of First Contact things, it's always that they're kind of like light years ahead of us in regards to the technology and all that other stuff. So I thought that was an interesting take.
That they were not ahead of us?
Correct.
Yes, that gave me a lot to think about too.
He almost had to, though. I mean, credit to him, because he could have, but considering the hard science nature of his books, he didn't. So that would have to mean that the aliens were behind us in technology.
No, I'm glad that she brought that up, because that was one of the things that I appreciated, because it also, for me, it also opens up the idea that, because even though that we might be that close together, like civilization wise, that we would not be that close together technologically. Like civilizations die off before the next civilization actually has a chance to find them. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So I'm wondering if we're that far apart in the galaxy, if that's why we don't see others, is that our time is very short, and it only happens at different times, not all at once, Right. So but I don't know, I'm really, really enthralled with the idea of civilization, like how much of life is out there. But his idea of it, like with us being a little bit ahead, it's possible. That's very possible, but improbable, because we're a young species.
There was something else I was going to mention about Rocky. Just the idea of like, how they came across the fact that even though they were good mathematicians, like what was the name of his species again? Iridians, is that what they call them?
Iridians.
That they were really good at math and calculations and stuff like that, but that they still used, I guess, the wrong scientific theory to figure out how much fuel they needed for the ship.
Yeah, well, because they didn't learn about space, about gravity, that time dilation was a thing. That even though he had only spent a certain amount of time, that where he came from has actually experienced more.
Yep, Newtonian versus Einsteinian physics is what you're talking about.
So, but like, just the point that they were trying to make, because I feel like we're kind of in a time right now where science is being questioned, and science isn't perfect. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't know what we don't know, but when we take in new information, we adapt our theories and our processes and like start including that. So that's basically what Rocky had to do, as he was explaining, like, like he didn't want to accept what Grace was saying right away.
Right. He was in denial. Well, doesn't make sense.
But he made the point. How could you build a spaceship without regard to radiation shielding? And say, well, if your planet is so encased in clouds that radiation doesn't reach your surface, guess what?
You don't know what
radiation is. You don't know what exists. And that's how we got a spaceship without radiation.
That story was sad too.
Yeah.
Wow. Like, just because they weren't that technologically advanced, like they haven't done enough testing. This is a
no. But how would you know? I mean,
right?
You don't get that on your homeworld, so it's like, how would you know? Other than going out into space finding it. So.
And what about the physiological difference? The physiological difference. Blah, blah, blah. The idea that they don't even know what colors are because they see with sound.
Mm-hmm.
That I was like, I had a hard time wrapping my head around, because I think he was saying that like all over his body he had like sound feelers or something like that. And I remember Grace commenting on how the ship was black and there was like no light on it and whatever. So I guess like that's just interesting.
They didn't even think about them needing to create light for any reason.
I know, and I think like
they never had it.
Yeah,
right.
Even in their conversation, he was like, "You can hear light." I was like, I don't hear light, but like, okay,
right.
So I thought,
and echolocation and all that sort of stuff too.
And he actually had to describe to him how the physiological differences between us and them. Like, I actually have optical nerves to be able to visually see things.
How would you even explain color to someone who has never seen color before?
That's what I'm saying.
Well, I mean, between you two, try to explain what you see when you see blue. Can you do it? No, you probably can't.
No, that has to be a social, a collective.
Yeah, I know. But even so,
learning situation.
But there are variations within that average, so it's like, how do you know?
That's true. Don't ask Crayola that question.
No. Well, they have an answer. It's a trademark answer. So.
I don't remember the specifics, because didn't he say something about like Rocky laying eggs as far as like how they reproduce and stuff?
I don't remember them having that conversation. I think I'm sure they did. I don't remember the outcome though.
I don't.
I feel like Grace was like reflecting, because it was shortly after Rocky had said that he named the.
Oh no! I think they actually. I thought they melded together and made another creature. But he was talking about his partner, or because he had a partner at home, Adrian, right?
Yeah.
But I don't remember how much they talked about with their reproduction cycles. I don't remember what they do for that.
Oh, speaking of reproduction, what was up with that scientist that was like, oh, by the way, he was just like, by the way, I'm having
Oh, he
sex
has
with
no
myself.
filter.
Yeah.
Oh, that guy. Oh my God.
I was
I
like,
just figured I'd
dude.
let you guys know this is happening just to make sure there was no confusion later on. Okay, thanks. Bye.
There's
Mhm.
a lot of like TMI, dude. Like, okay, gotcha, but like he just kept.
That
going.
wasn't necessary.
Mhm.
No, that was a testament to his character. Because I don't know. I've met a couple people like that. Like logically, they just put everything. This is what it is. That's how I don't care.
The whole discussion of like mass extinction events was anxiety inducing.
Learning that we've caused mass extinction events.
I mean, like just talking about the weather disruptions and climate change and a potential upcoming mass extinction event. And then I don't remember what the dude's name was, but it was the dude that was like all obsessed with the Beatles. And he was just basically like, it happens, it's okay, we'll survive. Like, and Grace was like, yeah, but is half the population going to be gone? Like, what does that mean? What does that look like? But the other dude was so...
It's all logic. Humans will be good. We'll be fine. Not all of us, but
No.
in general, we'll be fine.
That's not forever.
No.
Like, I don't know. It's scary because I feel like we're at a pivotal moment right now in regards to what we do with climate change. And
this is actually whether or not this species survives the next 100 years.
I think it was in this book where he was saying something about Mad Max, right? He was describing it like it was going to end up that we were going to end up living in like Mad Max. I've been saying that for so long. I've been like, I was like, that's what I keep imagining every time I imagine like things just going super wrong. I was like, we're going to be living like Mad Max.
No water and
so
cancer.
Hot, no water, and like going to have to live in caves. And
yeah, but I also remember that, in order for them to survive long enough for the Beatles to get back to Earth, they had to, increase global warming so that they could warm.
Yeah. They actually had to
We got to double down on it.
Yeah. They had to break the planet even harder to make it last a little bit longer.
Yep.
In order for the ecosystem to restabilize. That's a crazy idea too. Yep. And for to get governments to be all like, but we've been trying to fix this for so many years. What do you mean go backwards? All of it, like the I don't know. I like these types of books. I like the science fiction books like this because they do a lot of like theory, like a lot of thought things that we probably nobody else has even thought of yet. But maybe we should look into doing that for science reasons. I don't know, man.
Well, that's one of the reasons I like again the Liu Cixin books. Because he has these big ideas. It's like, oh my god,
they were very big ideas.
Yeah,
they were very big.
And Weir's books have some of that too, but not to that extent. But still, it's
I think it was you that sent the article in our book club chat, our book club VIP chat. But I think it was about how Andy Weir writes his characters.
Yeah,
and how he puts so much of himself in them. So that would be I imagine that's why
a good reason why the protagonists are
so similar. Yeah.
Well, in a way they have to be because of the way that they are being used in the books. The books are predicated on them being that way. Otherwise, we wouldn't have a book. If we did, it'd be like 2 pages long. Oh, then he died. The end.
We have a visitor.
Hey, Margaret, how you doing? She said, hey, yeah, I like that take. We, the creatives, dreaming big and leaving the experimenting to the scientists to tinker with.
Yeah, plus they had the ideal combination there. They had the theoretical scientists and the applied scientists, in Rocky together. And, they could do, the one could do things the other couldn't. And,
I'm sorry that the whole time I was going through, how convenient.
I thought so too.
But I mean, it has to be
if
there to
we didn't,
work.
we
I
wouldn't
mean, it
have a
has to
novel.
work. I get
Yeah.
it, but nah, I really like how he explained the idea behind Xenonite too.
Mhm.
And the fact that we haven't gotten to the point of we don't live in that kind of a system. We would we would die trying to make these things. Like our technology changes because of atmospherical reasons and physiological reasons even.
Mm-hmm. Well, our physiology changes to adapt to our environment. So if you don't have light, well, you don't need eyes. So we'll go with down. No.
I think what was also kind of interesting, because it's not something that I ever stopped to think about, but like how he was kind of demonstrating the limitations of our knowledge in regards to when Grace said, and I don't remember what came up exactly, but he was trying to explain something to Rocky, because Rocky was like, I don't know how this works. I just know that it does, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And that Grace was like, yeah, I totally get that. I use these machines, I use the computers, but I don't know how to make one.
Right,
I don't
right.
know the innards or whatever. So,
Mm-hmm.
And that's not something I ever stopped to think about. Just,
well, we use cars every day, and who could fix one or put one together? Not very many.
Well, then it's really, truly amazing what we have accomplished collaboratively.
As humans?
Yeah, I feel like, yeah.
Despite ourselves in some cases, yes.
Well, Margaret said, funny enough, I'm reading about Case and Sickness in 1870 bridge building. So, interesting.
Excuse me for one moment. I'll be right back.
I don't know what you're going to do with her. She's just going to meow indefinitely. That's what she has decided to do today.
Are you going to lay down and relax?
I'm helping.
No.
See, watch me help. See?
You're coming with me.
No, I'm not. Put me down.
I think he's going to go give her some
How
catnip.
dare you?
She's become such a baby. Yeah, she's too much.
But one thing I do appreciate about Weir is that he's one of the few, and I've mentioned this before in this venue, that he seems to be one of the few authors that's able to write a standalone science fiction book.
Right, you have mentioned that.
Thank God. I mean,
right.
I get why they do it, because they put all this time building this world. Yeah, I'm going to extend it out to however many books I can, but sometimes you just want to read a book,
right?
And be done with it. Right.
I mean, I agree with everything that you said, and at the same time, I'm like, but wouldn't it be nice to know what his life on their planet is like?
Well, we have an idea. We have an idea of the basics, though, which is good. He serves his function there that he did on Earth. So.
Yeah, I like the way he kind of wrapped that around. I just love how they were able to provide him all the things that he needed,
including the me burgers.
I don't know how I would feel about that.
Well, it's that or starve. I mean,
that's just. I think it would take me some time to come around to that.
Yeah,
I might starve for a little while.
Yeah, and that's fine. But eventually, what other choice do you have?
Margaret says maybe he puts his faith to make money into adaptation fees rather than the series income.
Well,
they haven't adapted Artemis, right? I mean, but who knows? That might be like in the works or something. We don't realize it.
I can't imagine it's not already optioned by somebody. The same thing with this one, because this one has Hollywood script written all over it.
I kind of like movies like that are like sort of close quarter-ish. Like the scenery doesn't change much.
It's I don't know where I'm coming out in this conversation, but I'm going to say it's more intimate. You get closer with the characters. You get closer with what's going on in the situation.
Well, Tom was just talking about how Andy Weir is like one of the few people that write science fiction standalones. And so Margaret had said that, you know, maybe he's making that money from adaptations instead of continuing the series.
It makes sense.
Oh yeah, considering the runaway success of The Martian, I can't believe that the other two books aren't already at least optioned.
I'm sorry, I just heard the cat knock on the door. Hang on.
I mean, you can't, like, she's just gonna have to deal.
I'm gonna put her in a tree.
Oh my god.
You can't. No.
And it's always the one cat. Like, we have 2 other cats, and they're fine. They chill, but she's so needy. She sleeps with us. She like paws at the bottom of the door. Like, we've had to move our doors down some so that she can't get her paw under there, because she will make like a racket trying to paw underneath the door. And she used to do that in the middle of the night because she also likes to drink from the faucet. She won't drink from a bowl. But so I don't know if it's too early to get into final thoughts. I'll wait till John comes back for that.
Well,
But
if you haven't seen The Martian yet, that would be.
I have not. Would you? I mean, I feel like you might always suggest I read the book first. Did they? You know, because sometimes an adaptation is very different than the book. Would you say it's like a very?
I haven't seen the movie, so I don't know.
Oh, you haven't seen the movie? Okay.
Yeah. I really enjoyed the book, though. So, yeah.
Would you say it's more science heavy than this book was, or relatively about the same?
About the same. Yeah, it's structured in the same way. Oh, here's a problem. I'm going to science the shit out of it and get it out. And, hooray! Problem solved. Oh wait, no, except for that, and then, you know. So yeah, but it's the same sort of idea. So, but I'm not sure how far the adaptation is from the original novel. I can't imagine they're that different. So, considering what the novel was about, or how the novel tracked. So, talking about The Martian, I suggested watching the Martian movie if you like.
Oh, I plan on consuming that at some point. So
yeah.
I think it's funny.
Is there a book, not a book, but a spot in the book that like is super memorable to you in regards of what was happening with the characters, or an idea that was presented, or you know, kind of like your biggest takeaway, like 3 months from now, what are you going to remember about it?
For this book? I think I've mentioned most of that already. Just how different, like it expresses different ideas on how to do the things that everybody else has been doing the same way for years. And that's why I made the joke about it'll be in the next book, because I know there's not going to be a next book. For me, it wasn't even about the character growth. I actually appreciated the fact that at the end of the book, he was still basically a middle grade teacher at the end of it, you know?
Bye, Margaret. Thanks for stopping by.
Sorry, I had to bounce a couple times.
I think for me, the thing that I'm going to remember, and I don't do a lot of rereading, but I might want to revisit it. It's just like the idea of serving the common good and how things work out when we can do that. Because I think as humans, or kind of like not humans necessarily, but as Americans, I think there's, you know, so much individualism and like selfishness and me, you know, so he might have had he not tried to serve the common good and
he tried
be a good person. I mean, but the outcome could have been different, is what I'm saying.
Right.
Like, and that has to be a conscious choice. Like, you have to want to do the right thing. You have to want to serve the common good and kind of seek things outside of yourself. And so, I don't know. That's what I'm going to remember.
I think for me, it's going to be, the decisions that the characters had to make. Like the Leclerc, the French climatologist who had to press the button to release the nukes in Antarctica and, and release the methane into the air, how that hurt him. Also, our protagonist, dragged kicking and screaming into a cell saying he's not going to go on the mission.
Right.
I was like, yeah, you're going to go anyway. Sorry.
You're the only one qualified now.
Yep. And, well, yeah, I mean, it was the kind of thing where it's like, well, how do we get to the point where the other two science people get removed from the picture? And, here's a convenient explosion. Yay. So.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so some things telegraph themselves like that. So, but it's not that it makes it a bad book. But
for people who know that they're coming, yes.
Yeah.
But I mean, I feel like some of those things are put in place in order to have the dominoes fall into place.
Sure.
I get it, but I mean, sometimes you want to have that extra domino you didn't expect to fall in. Oh, I see how that happened. But then you're like, who didn't see that coming? And
they also have, the mirror event where our protagonist decides he's going to go and save Rocky. He's given a chance to redeem himself. The other character I liked was it Sloth, the woman in charge of the program?
Yeah.
Yeah. she wasn't as flamboyant as Christian Avasarala from The Expanse, but she was in that same ballpark, which I really appreciated.
Gonna have to look into that. I want to see that character now.
She's really good,
but
in the books and in the series. So.
But the psychological breakdowns they had to go, everybody talking about each other throughout the whole thing. That was the part that I enjoyed. Everybody was like people watching each other. It's just like, what are they gonna do?
Yeah.
I know how that happens. Okay.
Yeah. Well, the other thing too, which I don't think they really came out and said, but his other two crewmen, to me it seemed like they were killed because this, now that's more food and supplies for Gran. They didn't say that, but that's the only conclusion I could draw. Because why else would it fail?
Yeah.
So
we briefly touched upon the me burgers, but you weren't here for that. Yeah. So I'm just curious. I said that Tom was like, well, if not, you starve, and I was like, I think I might have starved for a little bit there. Like, I don't know how comfortable I would have been. I mean, that would you have just been like, okay, sure.
Given the situation, knowing that there are no cows, and you like to eat meat, and the only way for you to have meat is to synthetically regrow your own tissue.
Oh my God, like that's just so hard to say out loud. Like,
no, actually, it wasn't.
Like, I mean, would you have been like, hell yeah, let's do it, or would you? I
love me a meat burger.
Did you say you would love you a meat burger?
That's what he says. I love meat burgers.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not asking
one
about
every
him.
Day.
I'm asking about you.
I would try it.
Yeah, but as long as really have any other options.
From my leg, I think I'm okay with trying it.
Yeah, they clone the tissue. It's not like you're giving birth to it.
It's science.
Well, if it's that or nothing,
I mean, and what was that movie where they went into the future and they were like, oh, there's no cows left. We just eat rats.
What movie was that?
I'm trying to think. That was a Judgment, or no. What was the name of that movie?
I don't think I saw that movie.
No, it was Wesley Snipes and.
I don't think I saw it.
Yeah, I don't think I saw it either.
Demolition Man.
Oh, didn't see it.
Did I see that? I don't know if I saw that. I can't.
You guys would love it. I mean, for the future aspect of it, you would love it. You wouldn't love the humor.
Okay.
It's a cute story.
Is there anything you want to ask or share about the book before we jump into final thoughts?
Final thoughts? How did you guys feel about the fact that he ended up living on the alien planet instead?
I mean, for me, considering that, we had an awareness of them being a bit scientifically behind us, I loved the idea that he was able to help them advance themselves in their science and all of that.
Okay.
And, they cared for him in a way that he definitely wouldn't have been cared for at home.
Even if we had an alien come to us, we wouldn't care for it the way they cared for him.
Yeah, I kind of don't think we would either.
No, we're assholes.
So I love that aspect of it. I love, how creative they tried to get in their solutions to provide for him and make sure that he could live as comfortably on their planet as possible.
I could also appreciate how he described the way they brainstorm.
I like that. The thrumming.
Yeah. It made me think about
when it's all like sound based, like just.
I'm curious to how music, how notes actually can affect other species too, If they use it for language and they can use and somehow them talking and conversing at the same time makes a bigger, more triumphant thought or process happen. Like I'm very curious. Huh?
I said it's like playing a chord.
Hitting a chord. It's that's but the fact to use it in such a way that it's meant as a language and a way to think of science and things, that seems like a whole other dimensionality to what sound can do. So I don't know.
I mean, if it did ever get an adaptation, I'd love to see how they,
I mean, if they just copied what they did what the narrator did, what the narration did, that would have been enough. But they would probably go a little bit further than that, of course.
I feel like it would look a lot more spiritual.
Yes. Yes, it should.
That's how I kind of envision thrumming, I guess.
Well, like I said, I was going to say I envisioned the noise cult from Thunderhead.
That's funny.
Tonus.
Yeah, those guys. Yeah. Whenever they start going all together,
But they talk in Amadeus. There's a section where, Mozart is talking about how in opera you can layer voices on voices. They're all singing different things, but they all combine to form this, what's the word I want here? Not portrait, but this artwork of sound that you could pick out individual voices and say, oh, this one's singing this, and then this one's singing this, and it's all happening at the same time. So
they use the word aria
for
for a single person being able to hit a specific range, right? For like a solo effort.
It's an operatic solo, yeah.
I feel like what is it when it's a full ensemble then, or is that the word?
The chorus, you mean?
Is it chorus? Okay.
Yeah. I'm remembering back to Handel's Messiah because they would have arias for like soprano and tenor and whatnot, but then they have the chorus, like the Hallelujah chorus.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I should have known that was the word. But I mean, I love the idea of having a chorus sing together to come together to come up with ideas and things. It seems very improv.
Yeah. Well, that's what they say, that music and mathematics have are very strongly connected, and people often point to Bach with his fugues that he'll write out a theme and say, oh well, here's the theme. It's like for example, I guess more of like a round would be like row, row, row your boat, and then somebody else starts singing row, row, row your boat, like when you get to the middle of the stanza and you're singing at the same time and you're singing the same phrase but at different times. What if we change the phrase now and make variations on that, but it's still related to the theme. So it's just hugely interesting how these things got and how it doesn't all sound like crap because it's like, oh my god, it's good music.
right. I mean, and the timing is important.
Yeah.
That is the important
Yes.
thing. Yep.
So smarter people than I figured that one out. But yeah, and, you know, when you recognize, like, oh my god, that's that, you know, and then, no, it's that backwards, you know, or upside down or what have you. It's pretty cool.
So Tom, do you want to kick off the final thoughts?
Sure. It was nice, not thrilling, but nice. You know, it's like if I won the, you know, it seemed too Hollywood for me. I wish it took a little bit more like risks, but I could understand why he wrote it the way he did. But even apart from that, you know, it has much bigger ideas than either of his first two novels, which I appreciated, and it wasn't like a carbon copy of them. So I ended up giving it a 4.
I really want to read The Martian now. I don't remember what I gave. Artemis. I feel like it might have been like a 4, and I kind of feel the same.
I think we averaged it about 4 for Artemis.
All right.
So I did like it. I don't mind predictability in my stories. Like I can only handle so much heartbreak.
I understand.
So I'm okay with that. I think it did address a lot of things, and there was some humor in there. I only highlighted like one thing, but at some point he was asking, I think he said, "Are all Russians crazy?" And then the Russian was like, "Well, yeah."
Oh my God! Did you wait? Now that you said that, on the audiobook, I know it's not the same actor, but my God, when he did that Russian accent, it reminded me of the guy who voiced what the hell is his name in Deadpool, Colossus.
Oh,
I cannot help.
Yeah,
it.
I
Oh
see
my
what you're
God,
saying.
it sounds exactly alike.
Yeah, he did have that. Yeah. That's funny. I like it.
But the fact that he was like, "Well, yeah, that's the only way for us to be happy." I was like, "We have to be crazy," and then he's like, "Well," he's like, "That's what it is to be Russian." Like, duh, that's how we are, how it goes. But yeah, I did enjoy it, and I would say that I give it 4 stars.
I loved it more than I did, like I thought I was going to, and then halfway through it, I realized all the predictable things, all of those things bother the crap out of me. And any other book that I come across, when I'm like, well, I know why that character just did that thing because later on,
right?
I dislike those things. But for some reason, I felt they worked in this. Like I felt this was put together for a reason, and it really wasn't meant. It was for the ideas. It wasn't. I mean, there was the character growth. There was the backstory. There was all of the stuff is there. All of the right pieces are there for a perfect something, but it's not a perfect book.
Mm-hmm.
I'm giving it 5 stars for the story and for how it outreached. Like it's ideas, it did a few things that other people have not. And I like those things. Now there are people going to write more things that he did. They're just going to add more to it. So, but it's just a matter of how they do it and where the story goes. I'm probably going to end up reading it again in the future. And then I'll probably backpedal a little bit. Mm-hmm. But as of right now, I fully enjoyed it, like every aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
what's next?
So what is next? Because we are in October spooky month, we did like a spin the wheel of challenges, and we selected what was the challenge. The challenge was to read something out of our normal wheelhouse, which would either be like romance or horror. And because I was selecting the books, I was like, let's do horror. So I picked 3 horror books, and
I don't even remember voting.
What do you mean you don't remember? I don't think you voted for this one. I don't remember what you voted for.
I forgot to vote?
So what's interesting about the book that was chosen is that it's only in audio. It was meant to be like, a spooky, scary, verbal around the campfire story, and so it's only available on audio. And
Makes sense.
What is it called?
It's what I'm looking for, and I'm upset that I can't find it now. It's by Eric Larson.
Yes. Author of The Devil in the White City, by the way.
Okay. Did you read that?
No, but
okay.
I mentioned it.
It is
My
called.
book club did, I should say.
It is called No One Goes Alone.
Yeah.
That's what we are reading for
Sounds
October
creepy
by
already.
Eric Larson. And again, it's like strictly an audiobook, which I'm both fascinated by, but also concerned because I know that when I only listen to the audiobook, I don't quite process it as well. But I'm going to do my best to pay extra special attention. What you were what?
I'm expecting, if it's audio related and it's going to have audio cues and it's meant to be audio, I think I'm going to be scared by you screaming.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that sounds about right.
Oh, well.
I'm sure that
That's what the message was.
Yeah, I guess it depends on how I listen to it. I don't normally listen with AirPods, but I don't know. But I just think the idea of that it was specifically made as an audio experience.
I didn't know that going in, so now I'm really curious.
Mm-hmm. That's why I voted for it. Well, that sounds interesting.
Yeah. So that's what we're reading for October. Once again, it is No One Goes Alone by Eric Larson. So if you're able to get your hands on it, I'm not sure that it's actually officially out right now. I think it may be out like within a couple days, but it should be very soon. So get the audiobook, listen to it, and then join us next month. One more time, if you ever want to join us on screen for our live book discussions, you can do that by signing up to be a book club VIP member at patreon.com/Libri Labra. And there are a bunch of perks, so just head on over there to see what they are. And if you popped into this discussion, whether you read the book or not, thank you. I appreciate you. If you haven't read Project Hail Mary, go ahead and read it and then come back and join us for the discussion. Thanks, and see you next time. So, bye.
Bye.